everybody. This is Chris Nicholls here. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, I'm for my joy actually. I'm the tourism manager for Merimbula and the immediate area, including Merimbula and environs. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris is going to spend forever telling you what an amazing place it is to live here and to visit, which it is. But of course today we're talking about people moving here, not just visiting. Do you find though, if you had to put a percentage on it, the number of visitors that end up being residents?
Well, just about all of them. Really?
Oh, come on, no.
No.
That's a bit of a stretch.
It's what they call a cyclical holiday place, so generational, in fact, where people keep on coming back. So they come here when they came here when they were kids with their parents, and then time progressed, and then they grew up, and then they brought their kids, and so on. And so we're into the third or fourth generation almost now.
Yeah.
And what happens is these people come down here to retire. Or they go, I'm going to go to the real estate agent and buy a house, and I'm going to see if I can work here. You know, I want to buy a motel that exists already, and things like that. So a lot of people started off sort of just visiting and ended up staying a lot, actually.
And what's their psyche when they finally decide to make that change? What is it that clicks for them and goes, yes, I'm going to do it?
I suppose it comes from them coming down here on a vacation. In other words, they're happy, they come here, they're really, it's one of the things we notice at the visitor centre. It's such a good place to work because people come in, they're all happy because they're on holidays.
Yay!
Which is, yeah, that's right. And so they think, well, gosh, I wouldn't mind being here. They see us and we talk, because at the visitor centre we talk a lot about what it's like to be here, to live here, and all the things we like to do, because we share that. That's our roles, to share that value back to our visitors. And that tends to have an impact on them too, and a lot of other people get that anyway. So they decide that this is not such a bad place, and it's got the real value of Merimbula is it's got everything. I know that before I took this job, I was walking down Main Beach thinking, what makes this place sort of stand out? What is its unique feature? What is its proposition? And I thought, well, it's got a lake, and there's a lot of places that got lakes.
Yeah, but I got 4 kilos of prawns out
Yeah,
of
that's
that
right.
lake
Yeah, you
a
can
couple
go
of
prawning,
weeks
yes,
ago.
but you can go prawning elsewhere. You've got oysters, yes, but there are oysters elsewhere.
But they're
You've
the
got
best
shops,
oysters here.
boutique shops. Yeah, but there's boutique shops, other places as well. Oh, there's nightlife here. There's nightlife everywhere else too. And I stopped in the middle of the beach, and I heard, oh my God, it's got everything. It's got all of the criteria that you need to have a really fantastic experience, or, in my case, a nice place to live.
But not that he's biased, and not that I'm biased, but he's right.
Well, I fell in love with the place, actually. I came here to do a particular project, and I didn't know how long it was going to be for. I rented a house for 2-3 years, and I was working using the airport, because one of our strong points is we've got a great airport here, which has daily flights to Sydney and Melbourne. Not Canberra yet, but we're working on it, which means that you can get around quickly from point to point, well, outside of pandemics, that is, and border closures. But normally, in the scheme of things, it's really easy to jump on a plane in the morning and come back in the afternoon. So you can go to meetings in Melbourne and Sydney and come back again at the end of the day. It's brilliant for that, and that's what I used to use it for. And then I just fell in love with the place, and
How long have you been down here?
12 years.
And from Sydney?
From Canberra.
Oh, from Canberra, okay.
Yeah, I needed to escape Canberra.
Yeah.
It was just about killing me.
Isn't that interesting? I've just bought a place in Canberra because it's nice to have that beach and
some
city.
people do that. Like our neighbours have exactly that. They spend.
And we've got a place in the mountains as well. So we've got this triangle.
Oh, there you go.
A triangle of
but
beach,
you can
mountains,
do that
and city.
Because if you can buy into the real estate here, it's not as expensive as you might think, and it's a great deal cheaper than Sydney and Melbourne and Canberra markets. They're a great deal cheaper.
And hooking a bit later on this afternoon, you'll see me again talking about real estate, because that's kind of what I do. But with our sales director, so there's it's me interviewing him and me really with a different background, but that'll actually just talk about the prices at the moment, the market, what's been happening, and what is going to happen in 2022. So sit on the edge of your seats for that one. It's going to be a doozy.
There's a lot of developments taking place in the area. It's really interesting at the moment. There's also an opportunity for a lot of interested entrepreneurs to come in and have a look at some of the older properties where, you know, people might be interested in selling their accommodation places or their apartment blocks or their whatever, land even, to set up, you know, new tourism developments and things like that. So
yeah, there is a
churn.
I'm going to call it gentrification. You often see it in Melbourne and Sydney, in some of those older suburbs that start to be gentrified over time, and then they become the hip happening place.
Yeah.
You know, Byron's boring, I'm just going to say, and Bateman's Bay for Canberrans has been like their back door forever. So you know what, you can, you know, for Bateman's Bay, it's an amazing place, and but if you're going there from Canberra, guess who you're going to meet? Your neighbour from Canberra.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about down here is that so much of what we have down here is still untouched, still with huge potential to be transformed.
That's right, and it can't grow massive like Noosa or Coffs Harbour, we don't particularly want it.
Where, you know, and a lot of people may actually know this, but we're surrounded by national parks, so there is, and the ocean, so there is a natural border in terms of it being an enclave. I mean, it's what, from north to south of the Shire is, what, 150 kilometres?
That's right, there's 34,000 people who live here, so the community is spread out over a long distance, but it's not. There's a lot of things you can do here. You can live here, work somewhere else. You can work here, live somewhere else. So there's all kinds of opportunities because of the variety of the communities that we have here. From, you know, sort of farming, big farming town like Bega, right down to sort of what was a fishing forestry town in Eden. But everything's changing like crazy. Especially Eden.
Eden is, you know, I'm really going to go back. It was fishing, it was logging, and it's taken 20 years. But you know, there was a really quality cruise industry that started up that obviously has been knocked around, but that will come back.
It will come back, yeah.
Huge funding. They're building about to start building some of the most awesome mountain biking tracks. And Tathra has awesome mountain biking tracks. Yeah, and
they're all within sort of like about 20, 30 minutes. 40 minutes from each other.
Yeah,
so
the light to light, which is going to become one of the iconic Australian bushwalking multi-day trips, kind of like the overland track in Tasmania, or if you've done, or if you're into that. But even for people who aren't into bushwalking, the light to light is going to be an astonishing development.
There's the Bundian Way, which is the indigenous track, which goes up to the high plains. So that's going to be developed up a bit as well. More indigenous tourism coming into the area all being well. It has a huge, as many places do, but particularly this area, indigenous heritage.
Yeah.
I was commenting about this the other day. I was saying, you know, you asked about why do people come here and want to work here and live here. It's beautiful. And I mean, yes, that's its tourism value too, but it's also the community value. And Indigenous people came here, yes, because it was prolific with seafood and fish and all that sort of hunting and stuff. But it was a lovely place to live. It's a temperate climate here. It's one of the few places in southern New South Wales that has a temperate climate. We have seasons. So you can have fruit trees and things like that, but it's not too cold, it's not too hot, it's not too humid, it doesn't rain too much. It's just about, I call it the Goldilocks.
Well, actually, you're right, because I'm originally a Queenslander, and I don't think I could move back to Queensland now for all those reasons. And so for Canberra and Melbourne, when you're used to freezing winters and rain, rain in Melbourne, it is just this all-round lovely, it gets cold enough to wear a jumper in winter.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Go 5 kilometres.
And have a fire too, which is great.
And have a fire.
I love my fire.
But then, you can, the surface still go crazy in winter as well, because it's not freezing. So that's a major plus. Let's go back to one of your early comments about us being hip and funky, and I think that's the wrong term to use, and if we're using those terms, we're not hip and funky.
No.
But let's talk...
But it can be.
Okay. I think he's telling me something I'm not sure I want to know, or I haven't seen, but maybe later on tonight. So one of my biggest issues when I first moved from Sydney was what I would consider, and I'm not a food snob, I'm honestly not a food snob, but it was a poor quality food. Kitchens weren't open past 7:30 at night, and the service was pretty poor. Where am I going to be able to get, if eating out is my thing, am I going to get here and wish I was back in the city?
Not anymore, because this place has actually developed considerably. Even in the 12 years I've been here, there's several new restaurants and a food trail, a gourmet food trail has started up, of all things, and an oyster trail, and thanks to Nigel, an ale trail. So it's just burgeoning with providor plate to, what was it?
Farm to plate.
Yeah, farm to plate and sea to plate sort of thing.
Yeah.
Opportunities and also instances. There's a lot of new restaurants that have started up, but the restaurants that are here have been brought up by new people and developed. So, and cafes are first class. And a lot of the people that came here came from Melbourne to set up cafes, and they came from a cafe culture.
So coffee snobs, you'll be absolutely well
brilliant.
catered for. Don't worry about that.
We have a choice. I have a great choice every day now. Which one will I go to today? Because each one of them is different, and each one of them has their own grind, obviously. And so, if you're into coffee, it's a great place to be, to live, and to be. But so,
example where I'm going this week, I've been to a Mexican.
Yeah.
I went to an Italian last night. I'm going to a new bar in the club we're in, Kitty's Bar tonight. I'm going
cocktail heaven
to Indian tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's a big,
that's a new one actually.
Yeah, and it's great. And so lots of different options there. I really loved what you were talking about, that unique, organic and providor culture that exists here. It's really quite special. There's a and linking into the ale trail, I saw on social media today that there's a hops grower up in Benboca.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Ryefield hops.
Yep.
They've got a hop sort of weekend where you can learn all about how hops are grown and what they use for and all sorts of stuff. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, we have lots of it. That's what I was saying. Merimbula and this region has such a lot of opportunities and so much variety that it really does have it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So from that point of view, that's going to work really well if you're into your foodie or your cafe culture as well.
But just before we finish up, I'd like to say something about the community itself, and that is one of the best communities I've ever lived in. It's incredibly friendly. People always help each other. New shop owners moving into new shopping areas are always helped by the ones that are already there. There's a real sort of conviviality, a collegiate sort of sense about that sort of stuff in retail generally, but just throughout the whole community. So, and the school community is supportive. I'm a member of the RFS, and it's just another wonderful community opportunity as well. So there's lots of things you can participate in and get a lot of joy out of, because the people are happy and we work well together.
Yeah, and again, giving the activities tomorrow a plug, even though you might not be able to be with us, hopefully we'll be streaming some of them, but that no matter what you're into, what your hobby is, what your interest is, whether it's doing something like the Rural Fire Service or the State Emergency Service. I'm a scout leader. If you're into mindfulness, there are mindfulness groups, there are book clubs, there is theatre groups, there is fishing clubs. What else?
Absolutely. Well, there's also
challenge.
Great sort of health and fitness organisations here. Taryn Lucas, who's got a display down here tomorrow. I go to Taryn Lucas.
And it's
wonderful. It has. It's made a huge difference to me. I rang her and said, "I need you to save my life." She said, "No problem, we'll do that."
Okay, so it doesn't matter what your interest is. There are people that do what you do, and in fact, that would be the great challenge to put out to the people who are watching today. If you can obviously text us or message us through what you're watching at the moment. So let us know what your interest is, and we'll try and put you in touch with the person who might be able to help.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the Visitor Information Centre is not just for tourists and visitors, it's for visitors. And visitors can be you, the people who are thinking about moving here. Please call us, come in and see us if you're down here, and we'll help you as much as we can. We're very well connected. The Chamber and tourism work very closely together, so we can help.
And now, interesting, well, I haven't actually been looking at the screen, but we may have the capacity to actually, for some of the people watching, bring you onto the screen to chat to us from far away and give us your thoughts about why you might be sitting here watching Chris and I talking, because we think we're fascinating, and we're pretty grateful that you're still watching. Oh, thank you very much from the bleachers. But that's time for Chris Nicholls to leave us. Thank you, Chris. It's lovely having you, the manager of the Tourism Centre in Merimbula. So